So in a world of constant innovation, people are trying every day to figure out new tools they can apply to their lives and organizations to make things easier and more efficient. That brings us to the sponsor of today's episode, AMD. You see, AMD has been transforming the AI world with innovative new tech that isn't just making people's lives more streamlined, but it's keeping them safer as well. Stick around. We're going to break down how AMD is fueling the AI revolution and what people are doing now with their newfound AI powers. Welcome back to another episode of the Technology Pulse. I'm your host, Rick from DALY, and trust me, if AI had a podcast, I'm pretty sure it would have replaced me by now. Thankfully, though, it still can't pull off my dad jokes or my hairline, so I think I'm safe. Today, we're diving into a topic that's everywhere right now. That's artificial intelligence and its growing integration into the public sector. We're talking about from smart classrooms to predictive policing to efficient infrastructure, even responsive citizen services. AI is really changing the way governments and institutions serve people every single day. And joining me to break it all down is someone who knows this world inside and out. That's Michael Mangano. He is the Field Channel Account Manager for AMD. And Michael works closely with partners like DALY to help bring adaptive, high-performance computing solutions into the public sector. Michael, let's start by giving folks a little bit of background about who you are and what you do at AMD.
Yeah, sure. So as you said, I'm a field channel account manager with AMD. So I've been in this role for a little shy of a year now. I started this past January, based out of New Jersey. So a lot of the partners I cover, like DALY, are more Northeast specific. So in this role, really, I work with partners like yours to essentially, help you help your customers, help you guys sell AMD, help your customers be confident in what they're purchasing in our product, right? So ultimately, with you guys, my goal is that when your customers come to you and they're looking for AMD-based solutions, that they have the comfort knowing that they're working with a partner that's within AMD's network, that you and the rest of your sellers have direct access to me and thus access to the rest of the AMD organization, and that we could provide any support that's required to really help them out through their IT journey. Prior to this, I was actually in mid-market, small enterprise sales with AMD. I was doing that for about a year and a half. And prior to that, I had spent 7 years with a company called SHI, based out of Somerset, New Jersey. So, they're a reseller like DALY. We consider them, I guess, a national solution provider, right? They operate on a full national scale and a global scale. I was there in various sales roles, so I have a good amount of experience mounted up already in the IT selling space.
No, and that's fantastic. And we're really glad to have you and your expertise joining us here on the Technology Pulse, because we could certainly use it. Just do me a favor, okay? You tell the guys over at AMD not to start having AI do stand-up comedy, because if that starts happening, then I'm definitely in trouble.
I don't think you have to worry about that from AMD. We just provide the computing power. That's it.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. So talking about that, let's go ahead and start at the top. We want to talk about this AI shift that's going on, right? Because I really think it's going from hype to hands-on. Everyone's been talking about AI, but for our listeners in the public sector, we want to know what's actually happening on the ground. So what are you hearing about how agencies and schools and municipalities are really using this technology these days?
Yeah, like as you mentioned, we're really sort of in that implementation phase right now. So you have a number of different government institutions, healthcare facilities, different schools from K through 12 to higher ed, all looking to implement AI-based solutions within their environments at both the hardware and the software level. And they're using it in a variety of ways, right? Say, take a school, for example. School systems now, they're looking at figuring out ways that teachers can teach smarter, teach more efficiently. Students being able to use AI to learn more efficiently, using AI not necessarily as a a tool to do all their classwork for them, right? That's not what we want to be seeing, right? Having Chat GPT or something like that type out a full essay, but using it really just kind of as a guide, right, and a sounding board, right? Just being able to do things a lot more efficiently, and just taking a lot of manual work out of their hands.
Right. And that is the one thing that a lot of people don't realize. It is very easy to tell if ChatGPT is writing a student's essay for them. If
Absolutely.
suddenly their writing skills improve exponentially, and let's face it, the stuff that you're getting out of an AI solution like ChatGPT or like any of the other ones that are out there, because everybody just mentions ChatGPT, and I hate to give them a bad rep because, again, a lot of great solutions that come out of there, but you could tell it's all formulaic. It all comes out. It doesn't sound like what the student would write. You're going to know that. That's not really what the teachers and the students should be using it for. It's not so the teacher can spit out a lesson plan and the student can spit out an essay and everybody just sort of pretends to learn. There really needs to be that human component to it, right? Because it's all about adapting to the new AI driven learning tools rather than learning to use them instead of using your own brain.
Right. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
And so that really comes up to like the importance of accountability, right? Because it's all about privacy and ethics and surveillance. You've got to have all of that in there because that's all very important. You have to have this technology being utilized fairly. You have to have the technology being utilized where, again, privacy isn't an issue. I mean, I know a lot of people that were using it to, say, spit out proposals on, the government side of things.
Mm-hmm.
What they didn't realize is every time you put something in there, because it's a large language model, it's adapting all of that, and all of that information is becoming public.
Exactly. Right. And that's that's a really good point. Yeah. So take a Chat GPT, for example, or, Grok or whatever open large, language model chatbot that's, out there. Yeah. When you're using that stuff, right, it's open, it's in the cloud. Anything that you feed it, that's, that data is getting harvested somewhere. We look at these different, government institutions, healthcare facilities, right? They're dealing with a lot of sensitive data, folks' addresses, social security numbers, things like that. So God forbid there's a compromise somewhere, or there's some malicious actors trying to, do some malware attacks on that particular institution. That's opening up some doors you don't want open into your environment. I think privacy is a really big part of it, right? And if you are going to use AI, make sure you're doing it natively, you're doing it within a secure network.
Definitely. And it also really does bring up the need for cybersecurity because, like you said, it's being used on both sides of the fence because we've got the threat actors out there who are utilizing AI to spam you, to phish you, to send out malware, to do all of this kind of stuff. And they're really using it in a very sophisticated way. And then, like you said, you've got the people who are using it, whether it's somebody who's a professional or somebody who's a student or somebody who's even just a homemaker. And then all of a sudden they're just putting this data in there, not realizing it's going out into the cloud. It's going out into the ether. It's going out into somebody's inbox because somebody is monitoring that stuff repeatedly. And so you really do need to focus on cybersecurity because it's really taking what was crazy already when you talk about the way we communicate electronically and how we get our data. And it's turned the Wild West into the Wilder West.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. While AI will be great for cybersecurity purposes and being able to defend against mitigations more efficiently, it's, like you said, it could certainly be manipulated to be used on the attacking side of things. So it's going to be an ongoing battle there. And, it's going to be critical, right, for, different cybersecurity firms out there. Make sure really that they're shoring up their solutions. And, some onus is going to be on, the individual institutions, right? Education facilities, all that, right? To make sure that they really have close-knit, tight network and that they're really paying attention to this sort of thing.
And then I think the last thing I want to bring up that I want to ask you your opinion on is kind of all of these initiatives that are going on that are encouraging digital modernization. So you've got everything on the federal level, everything on the state level, everything on the local level. Everybody's trying to say, look, we need to get up to speed. We need to start utilizing these tools. We need to make sure that we are modern and are able to handle everything. So how do you see that playing into all of this, where again, it's just more and more encouragement to be using a tool that, while it can be incredibly helpful, it can also be something to be wary of.
Not just something to be wary of, it's something that's really expensive, right? And to support a lot of this stuff, and on the end user client side, on the server side, with software and everything, it's expensive. We're certainly, I think, at a critical inflection point right now, where you have a lot of different companies, a lot of different institutions. They have legacy systems that they haven't refreshed in quite some time. They're straining under modern demands. But there's also this point where they realize, okay, AI is clearly, an important tool that's got a strategic capability and can enhance what we're doing. How can we refresh those legacy systems, start implementing AI, start shoring up our hardware to make sure we can support that, but also thinking about doing it in an efficient way and in a responsible way.
So, again, the biggest thing we got to remember is this isn't just Skynet and sci-fi anymore. It's spreadsheets, it's student portals, it's smarter 911 systems. I love it. But we got to realize that kind of transformation comes with a few growing pains, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And certainly AMD, we've been working with countless organizations, to really help them on that digital transformation journey and that AI adoption journey, working with our, incredible OEM partners, right? And Lenovo, Dell, HP, Cisco, Supermicro, you name it, right? We're all working with our mutual customers to help them go on that journey, and working with excellent partners like yourself, right? To be those conduits, right? To be those trusted advisors to help our customers go through that transformation.
No, and that's excellent. And I want to go ahead and transition to that right now because, I recognize AMD has been a huge player, especially when you're talking about enabling those AI workloads, right? Because whether you're talking the individual device or a classroom full of devices or an entire data center, all of that has to be managed, and all of that really requires the computing power. So let's talk a little bit now about how AMD is helping the public sector turn all of the talk about AI into tangible progress.
Yeah, sure thing. So to your point, going to our computing portfolio, right? I won't go into all of it because portfolio is certainly robust. I think AMD's we're really the only adaptive computing company out there that can really lay claim to having a computing fit for just about every need that there is, whether it's the end user device, a server, an endpoint, networking appliance. Try and make our portfolio as robust as possible, but also as easy to understand, easy to digest as possible, right? And just offer all these different flavors for supporting these various AI workloads. So, in the end user device, right, what you would traditionally see in a notebook or a desktop, we have our Ryzen portfolio. So we have our latest Ryzen AI MPUs out there, which are, have been absolutely excellent. And what's so great about them is that they can actually run various AI workloads completely natively without the need to even be on Wi-Fi. No need for an internet connection. And that's really great also from a privacy standpoint, right? So we're already starting to see this number of organizations starting to implement their own large language models, or their own different software systems, or they could start leveraging AI natively. And it certainly helps from a privacy standpoint, right? And not having to go to the cloud and leveraging those different chatbots or different things like that are out there. So that's it's really a great selling point, while also while having that AI capability, being able to have people be productive on those notebooks and be more mobile with them. They're not nearly as power hungry as other devices out there, so you can be more efficient, be more lean, be more mobile, just run all sorts of different tests and trust the fact that your device is going to be able to handle everything that you throw at it. Also looking at even the data center side and in servers, we are EPYC server CPUs out there, which have been terrific, super high core counts, leadership, energy efficiency. and just really being able to, just kind of being that backbone for enabling modernization of legacy infrastructure.
So it really does sound like AMD has really committed to doing all of this with a lot of responsibility, with a lot of security in mind, and even sustainability, again, where you're talking about the high energy efficiency.
Yes.
It really sounds like you all are just, you're going all in on this.
All in completely. Yeah. And another quick products that I like to mention as well as our Instinct GPUs, right? So these are the graphics processing units that would go in servers, right? So this is the real beefy stuff that, you're going to put in, you're going to deploy in large numbers in a data center. You're going to be using this stuff for training and inferencing large language models. It's they're certainly ideal for generative AI. Right. And this is for anyone that's been paying attention to the latest news out there. We've just announced some recent partnership agreements with OpenAI, with Oracle. We're going to be building a large supercluster with the United States Department of Energy. These are various organizations that are going to be leveraging our Instinct GPUs in mass to just help support the massive computing power that's required just to bring all this AI modernization to fruition here.
No, and that's fantastic. And I got to say, DALY is certainly really proud to collaborate with AMD to serve local and state agencies, to serve all of our different education customers, because it's all about bringing the efficiency, right? It's all about bringing solutions to the table, not just products. And that's one of the things I have to say. We even mentioned that in a recent Tech in 10 podcast that we did about how you all are you've sort of been waiting in the wings while the other player, we all who know that, all know who that is. We don't need to mention it here, but while the other player has been, sitting there as the big bull in the china closet, and you guys were just sort of sitting in the back saying, okay, yeah, we're going to bide our time. And now you're coming along and you're just, you're inserting yourself right in here where you're not only able to give that same type of power or better, you're doing it at a price point that is really helpful for folks. And that's why you're starting to see more AMD in those devices.
100%. Yeah. And I did catch that Tech in 10. I really appreciate the shout out there for us. That other company that's happens to be run by a man that likes to wear leather jackets. We don't have to, say their name, but listen, they, all the credit to them. They have an incredible product set. They've been a huge part of ushering in this era of AI that we find ourselves in. But I think what we're starting to see a lot of is that there is simply too much to go around. Just such a massive need for more data centers, more servers, a lot more computing power. So outside of just us, you're going to see plenty of others as well that are offering their own computing flavors as well to, help support all the demand that's out there. What's great about us too is that we do have open source software, right? So, we have a very collaborative team, right? So we're actively working with all these different, large language model providers. Take a Llama, for example, working with them to make sure that they're optimizing on AMD ROCm. That's our framework that is built within our Instinct GPUs. Just making sure that it's available for everyone. The frameworks are there for anyone to access. You can build what you need on them. We have experts that are with those folks every step of the way to make sure that this is an open ecosystem and that they're achieving the AI solutions that they're looking to build on, right? And we're really making a lot of efforts to really accelerate that progress nearly across every sector, especially in the public sector and across the academic field. Big part of what we're doing is our sovereign AI initiative, which is a big part of what we're doing now is we've been working with institutions to help deploy full scale and secured AI ecosystems, right? Making sure that they have the infrastructure and the innovation that they need and that they can deploy in the way that they need to.
No, and that's fantastic. And it is so great that AMD is taking its role of powering AI responsibly seriously, because you guys are basically building the muscle behind the machine, and the rest of us are just trying to get our printers to connect to the Wi-Fi,
I'm just a small cog in the wheel here, but it really is a pleasure to be a part of, especially now. We're just getting started. This is going to take on a massive snowball effect. It's great to be with a company that honestly just has the very best of the best in the industry, really working to help make this happen. And, doing so, hopefully, as responsibly as possible, right? And making sure, like you had mentioned earlier, we don't end up in some kind of Skynet situation.
Exactly. So, that really leads me back to kind of the idea of trying to balance innovation and accountability, right? Because we're really at an inflection point here. Legacy systems that a lot of state and local governments are using, that a lot of education systems are using, they're straining. AI is evolving fast. Everyone's trying to modernize, but they need to make sure that they're doing so responsibly. So, from your viewpoint, what do you think are the biggest challenges that the public sector institutions face?
Yeah, I'd said, it's refreshing those legacy systems, trying to understand now exactly what kind of gear do we need. How do we make the dollars and cents work to upgrade to this demanding infrastructure to power all this? How can we get the staff in place to make sure they're ready to work with this, right? That's a huge part of it. We really didn't even go through yet. It's this is going to require a major transformation of the workforce, right? It's going to require a lot of reskilling and upskilling. This is something that's starting to really happen in big time, especially at the university level, right? Various courses, even degrees out there specializing in AI, right? There's going to be a need for data scientists, folks that are really experts in this and being able to train and inference different large language models properly. There's going to be a lot of skills required from a hardware standpoint to manage all this. Those are big parts of it, right? And then, of course, as we touched on earlier, the security piece, right? So while upgrading that infrastructure, implementing those different AI workloads, but making sure that your data is secured, you have everything, you have the privacy protections in place, and you're doing that all responsibly.
Yeah, because everybody needs to remember that AI is not just a tool. Right now, it really is a strategic capability. And so everyone from the private sector to the public sector needs to make sure that, again, they're balancing that, bringing on the innovation with making sure that they're doing it responsibly, making sure they're doing it where everything is secure. All of that really needs to come into play.
100%. Yeah. And there is also this element of competitiveness, right? This global competition in AI. Every country out there is looking into it and making significant investments and, in hardware and in getting more folks trained up on this stuff and being put on a path to be put in jobs that could support all this. That urgency, that competitive urgency, that's also moving things, I think, a bit quickly too. So there's that. There's sort of that panic I think we're starting to see from a lot of organizations, right? Understanding that, hey, we need to do this fast. We need to figure out what our strategy is now. But that's hopefully with the help of us, with the help of our OEM partners, with the help of our entire reseller network, with you guys, that we can help them on that journey, right? To be able to bridge those capability gaps and just accelerate deployment in a timely manner as well.
Yeah, because, it really sounds like the public sector is going to start learning to move fast. And unfortunately, when you move faster and you're not prepared, you're going to just start breaking things, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's, that's a big part of that workforce transformation side of things too, right? Making sure, you're bringing in the right folks, whether maybe taking some of your existing folks, you're reskilling them, you're upskilling them, you're making sure that they're ready to support this, so that hopefully those breaks happen far less, right? And you have you have the trained folks in place that could help prevent those measures before they even occur, right? And and again, that's a big part of what the IT reselling community is about, right? We're not just here just selling the product and smack them on the butt and, off you go. But, we got to be with them every step of the way through that journey, that we can make sure that they're, deploying it in a smart way, and that we can support them, as those breaks happen.
No, fantastic. Because again, when a government system crashes, there's no, oh, well, let's unplug it and wait 2 minutes and plug it back in. It's just not that simple. Michael, I have to say this has been absolutely fascinating conversation that we've been having. Thank you for everything you've shared. But you know what? Before we wrap up today, I want to know, what are some things that you want our audience, especially those in government or education, to take away about AI and where AMD is fitting in?
Yeah. So again, to the audience out there, really, you got to take it in now. AI it's no longer a future concept. It's present. It's here. And it could certainly be daunting. It's, it's scary. I know there seems to be some doom and gloom that you could, find on the news these days, right? And some people, may be adverse to AI, but I can tell you this: I think it offers a ton of unprecedented opportunities to reimagine just how we do our jobs, how a government can serve its people, how we streamline everyday operations, how we can even prepare the younger generations for the future, right? And just so much more. There really is there really is a lot of exciting momentum behind it, and just how transformative this can be, especially when you talk about, right, like a lot of the stuff that's starting to happen in healthcare, and AI could be used for drug discovery and looking at cures for diseases that we couldn't even find before. I mean, it has, I think, the chance to do a lot more public good than harm, right? But a big part of it is going to be adopting AI with purpose, with transparency, commitment to public good, of course. Again, just making sure we're doing this responsibly, securely, sustainably, just doing it the right way. And I think collectively, if we can all just have that shared goal in mind, AI will really serve humanity for the better for many years to come. I truly believe that. And, from an AMD standpoint, trusting the fact that we are really committed to delivering the best computing solutions that are out there to help power these AI workloads. And we're with our customers every step of the way to make sure that they have everything they need, technically handle all this. And, it's absolutely wonderful to be partnered with a terrific reseller like DALY that's serving countless amounts of folks out in Maryland and Virginia. So it's great to be partnered with y'all, and I really look forward to where we could take this partnership in the future. And I hope we could really be part of some great customer journeys out there, and making sure that we're helping them with these various AI implementations.
No, very well said. Very well said. And again, you made it really clear. AI isn't coming someday. It's already here. And, thanks to innovators like AMD and a partnership with DALY, we've got public institutions that are going to be better equipped to handle what is next. And of course, speaking about what is next, if anybody has any questions, all they need to do is contact their DALY representative. We've got Michael on standby, don't we, Michael?
Yes, absolutely. And, really just consider me a conduit, right, to the rest of the A&D organization. We have thousands of people across the globe dedicated to hardware, dedicated to software, you name it. Really just some of the best and the brightest. So I can help bridge any of you to the AMD organization to support you on this journey.
I'm telling you, it's like Iron Man Tech meets DMV efficiency, right?
It's a good way of putting it.
Exactly. So, all right, Michael, thanks again for joining us today. This was terrific. We really appreciate you joining us, and we hope to have you back on the Technology Pulse in the future.
Yes, I'd love to come back on, or even get another AMD speaker on too.
Well, I'll tell you what, you did a fantastic job. So again, we appreciate you. So
thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you. And again, remember, everybody out there, stay curious, stay secure. If your laptop ever starts talking to you, maybe just think about updating the firmware before you call the Ghostbusters. But want to thank everyone for tuning into this episode of the Technology Pulse. Until next time, keep your data clean, your coffee strong, and your AI ethical.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of the Daily Technology Pulse podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Before we sign off, we want to take a moment to remind you of some important legal considerations. The views and opinions expressed by guests on the Daily Technology Pulse podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Daily Computers or its partners. The content provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of Daily Computers, Inc. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can find us at www.daily.com. The Daily Technology Pulse podcast will be back with more exciting discussions on the latest in technology. Until next time, stay curious and stay connected.